Because he wanted to die, he put on his suit, groomed himself, and slipped the noose around his neck. But then he saw someone driving up to his house. He removed the rope, ready to give them a piece of his mind. But the man explained they were new neighbors asking the old man to help guide them with parking. The guy was a terrible driver and crashed into the mailbox. So he got right in the car and helped him back into the driveway. Then he went back inside to continue with his suicide plan. He put the noose back on, but the neighbor's little girl ran up to his window to wave hello. He quickly hid the rope, not wanting to frighten the child. His suicide plan was ruined again. Why did he want to die? The old man's name was Ove, and a few months ago, his wife had passed away. He'd also been fired from his job, and it felt like life had no meaning anymore. The next day, Ove drew the curtains and once again put his head to the noose, but the doorbell rang. He rudely opened the door to find yesterday's little girl. The new neighbors had brought him food and wanted to borrow a ladder. Then the old woman from around the corner showed up, asking him to help fix her heater. Ove was furious. He went back home, looked at his wife's photo with his mind made up, and hung the rope again. But this time the rope snapped. Another failure. He tried a different approach. Car exhaust. Ove closed his eyes, ready to embrace death. But after a while, someone was banging on his garage door. Furious, Ove stormed out to find that the neighbor's husband had injured himself, and she was begging Ove to drive her and her two daughters to the hospital. Ove had no choice but to agree. Another failed suicide attempt. At the hospital, the woman asked Ove to help with her children, and he agreed. When the little girl got bored, Ove even told them stories and made her laugh. On the way back, Ove planned to head straight home, but the little girl ran over and hugged him. This time, Ove moved his suicide location to the train platform. As the train approached, a man fell onto the tracks. Ove saw people around him pulling out their phones to record videos. He rushed over and pulled the man to safety. He walked to the middle of the tracks with the train bearing down on him, suddenly remembering how his father had taught him to stay away from trains, though his father himself had been killed by a train. Ove stepped back up. Another failed attempt. His neighbor brought over a stray cat because her daughter was allergic, asking Ove to adopt it. Ove went to his wife's grave and said his steel hand managed to die, and now he had a cat too. This time Ove decided to use a hunting rifle. Just as he pulled out the gun, the cat looked at him. He turned on the radio so the cat wouldn't be startled. He even sealed his room with plastic wrap so the cat wouldn't get splattered with blood. He aimed the rifle at his chin, then at his forehead, and was about to pull the trigger when there was another knock at the door. Ove charged out with the gun in hand. At the door was one of his wife's former students, begging Ove to take in his friend. Ove grumbled and cursed, but seeing how pitiful the guy looked, he took him in anyway. Once again, Ove had failed.